Hello, my name is Inely Cesna. Welcome to this mediation training. In this session, we're going to talk about mediator's approach. The mediator's approach, confidentiality, and note-taking. Those are very important and basic aspects of mediation. So let's just go right into the sharing of our slides. Here we go. Mediator's approach, confidentiality, and note-taking. So the first, perhaps, and one of the most important things a mediator will do is to create that trust and that rapport. And that happens from the get-go. It happens from the first phone call, from the first contact with the parties, to stay calm, to bring a non-defensive posture, and to model the desired behavior that you're trying to foster for the mediation. So trust and rapport. Second one is to clarify the purpose. Make sure we clarify what we're doing here, what this is all about. This is all about reaching an agreement. In case of dependency court mediation, it's all about the child, right? It's the best interest of the child, is to protect that child, to make sure that child has a path, a successful path for future growth. That has to do with the confidentiality of the situation, with the voluntary nature of mediation, and the collaborative approach that we are trying to build. So establishing that purpose from early on, and make sure that the parties understand what that is, and the significance and the importance of each part of that purpose is a very important part of setting up the environment for mediation and making the parties comfortable, make them trust the process and trust you as the mediator, as the conductor of that process. Third is setting up the ground rules. We usually have the mediator's monologue right in the beginning, where the mediators explain, okay, what we're going to do here. The mediators explain the idea of being neutral, being impartial, and being multi-partial to create an opportunity here where we're all playing the game with fair rules in neutral ways, and we can play this game in a way that leads to a final resolution. So we explain the timing and the terms. We explain the need for respectful behavior and the need to, not interrupt one another, or the need to speak in a respectful way, right? And so all of these are things we want to set up from the get-go. And so we start cultivating the garden, where we can collect fruits there during the mediation. And the fourth one, I always call highlight small wins. It's like providing this positive feedback throughout the process, cultivating this culture of positive feedback as we go. So every small agreement is a big deal, and every small agreement generates momentum for the next one. Just the agreement to come into the mediation is a small agreement that should be highlighted from the get-go. Say, hey, we already agreed on this. What else can we agree together here? So to acknowledge the process and to bring forward that positive reinforcement as often as we can. Another aspect of the mediation is confidentiality. Confidentiality is very important because it provides the psychological safety within which we can bring forward, the underlying layers of emotions or conflict or anything that may be marinating in this conflict underneath the surface. And so confidentiality is a requirement in mediation. In dependency court, it's often obliged in the sense that it creates a container within which parties can come into communication, negotiation, and settlement discussions without violating the privacy of the child and of the family. And so the mediators there has a privilege. Mediators cannot testify in court about what was said in mediation. That's completely confidential, except, however, if there's any threat of violence, any imminent threat of violence to themselves or to others, if there's child abuse or neglect, those are exceptional cases where we have to break confidentiality and find support. So why confidentiality is so important? Because it protects the families, it protects the parties. Especially in dependency court, we are dealing with highly sensitive issues in child welfare, sometimes abuse, neglect, sometimes instances of substance abuse by the parents. And we want to promote the family reunification. We want these issues to be overcome, to be, in the past, and we want to create a new future. And so protecting the families through confidentiality becomes very important. Encourage open communication too. So if we know that this is a confidential space and is a container, we can create the opportunity for deeper levels of communication than those that we would normally have in court, because we know this is a confidential space. And that will promote constructive outcomes. So hopefully that confidentiality creates the psychological safety where people feel safe enough to bring forward deeper levels of issues and involvement and emotions so that they can come forward in non-adversarial ways to promote space for communication and resolution. So how does that go about note-taking? Well, the benefits of note-taking is that it provides us with accuracy, provides us with information, it helps us set up the agreement, and it enhances the mediator effectiveness because it offers us some type of a structure as mediators, as we write things down and keep our notes for each of our cases. So the best practice here is to use non-identifying language in our note-taking in case that it kind of gets spread out. To make sure we store those notes securely, to limit access to them, usually with passwords and things like that. Make sure we follow agency policies and have them destroyed once the case is over, to have them destroyed. So the do's in note-taking, definitely keep notes of the concerns and the goals, the general agreements that are going to be incorporated in the final agreement, follow-ups with, tasks and action steps that need to be followed up. So keep that in writing, helps us move through the process. But what we don't want to we don't want to annotate is any personal opinions or interpretations, any confidential statements, sometimes even names or last names. I tend to use initials instead of writing down the names. It's shorter, it's easier, and it protects the confidentiality of the parties, or even direct quotes or sensitive disclosures. We don't want to have those in writing. All right. Well, thank you so much. This was the part about confidentiality and note-taking. I hope this is helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one.